Hey, welcome back to the Positive Side Podcast. Jeremy Todd, the host. If you're a new listener, I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. And this podcast is typically, I do a lot of interviews, and a lot more than what I did in the past. In the past, I really was just me solo. I would just talk about my life stuff, and I think I wore enough people out with that I had to bring in other people so I can wear them out with other people now. But it's actually been a huge response with all the people I've had on the show. I'm excited about it. The video presence has been super powerful. So it's been awesome. Real quick, I for all the people that have pre-ordered the book, I promise you it's on its way. When I went to Amazon, I don't know, again, I'm just some hack in Indiana trying to, make a dent in the universe. But I ordered 100 pre-orders so I can sign all the autographs for the people that pre-ordered the book. But people are going online and getting them within 1 or 2, 3 days. So don't worry about it. The book is coming. I haven't gotten my books yet, so don't even sweat it. It's all good. It's coming. But today it's a better story. We're going to bring in my close friend, Melanie Holscher. And I love having people on the show that I know pretty well, that I know their stories. I don't have to do a lot of research on because I know the type of person they are. And Melanie, by far, is one of the most inspirational people that you're ever going to hear and that I've met. And I love her to death. She's so powerful and brilliant. She's a cancer survivor, author, coach, all around badass. I've never... Melanie, I'll bring you in here in just a second, but I got to tell you this. Every time you and I have talked, all the shit you've gone through, like bad shit, like way back, years and years and years ago, your attitude, your enthusiasm, nothing's ever wavered. Even when you said like, hey, today's a bad day, I've been struggling, you always end it with a positive mindset. So I guess a couple different things. Melanie, thank you for being my friend. I love you and I respect you. And congratulations on the book. But welcome to the show, more importantly.
Well, I thank you so much. So good to be here. And you're amazing as well. So I've just loved being your friend for all this time as well. So
it's crazy.
You always pump people up.
Well, I try to, but it's crazy how our paths cross. We worked together at Southwestern Consulting. I know you're still there working with people and with sales and leadership stuff, but I think the bigger picture is here now. I think it's really helping people with the book and overcoming cancer. So I want you to tell everybody a little bit about the struggles with not really the struggle to win. You've overcame cancer. I want you to talk about that and then introduce your book. And I've got some questions about your book. So fire away.
Absolutely. Well, my health started going down. I started having some problems and I went to the doctor right away and they couldn't figure it out for a while. And when they did figure it out, they said, you have cancer and we're admitting you into the hospital today. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You're there. So I had a little different, welcoming to the cancer community. However, every journey is a little bit different. Yeah. And there's a lot of challenges that you go through mentally. And we have these amazing doctors. I have a whole team of amazing doctors, fantastic, but they're taking care of our body. It's up to us to take care of our mind, right? Yeah. So, and that's the part that's really challenging, especially, in the early stages when you're first trying to accept such a diagnosis. So I was blessed and really fortunate that I had a whole team of amazing coaches that were rallying beside me and pumping me up and lifting me up and saying, let's work on this, however you feel today. Let's find something to be grateful for. Let's find something to be happy about. Let's find joy even in the dark days. And I was just so blessed to have people like that in my life. So, the book, the boxes, Together We Box, all of that is trying to give back and help other people have that sort of support in their cancer journey.
I want to talk about Together We Box here in just a minute, but I want to ask you, some personal questions. So yeah. You walk in the hospital and they say, Melanie, you have cancer, we're admitting you now. What's your first thought?
How long do I have to live? Yeah. Am I toast? Am I done now? What am I looking at? And the crazy thing was they weren't very optimistic at first. They didn't exactly know what I was facing. But I had a really large tumor that was basically choking out my spinal column, and it was creating all kinds of pain. And so my first question was, how long do I have to live? And the answer I got, the initial answer, was, we're going to keep you as comfortable as
Oh
possible the
my
whole way
gosh.
through. Yeah, that was it.
That's
I was
that's
like,
tough. That's tough to hear. That's tough.
I learned immediately, don't ask that question, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I went through kind of a lot in the first few days being in the hospital, and all kinds of uncertainty, and I just had to make a decision. If one survived, so could I. If none survived, I'll be the first. And that was like the mindset that I had to adopt. But you don't adopt that mindset once. You have to adopt that mindset
Oh,
over and over and over again.
yeah.
So there'd be
That's
times where I'd be, up and positive, and then there'd be the dark times because you're stuck in your head 24/7, right?
yeah.
Uh, so you have to have contingency plan for those times as well.
Well, it's interesting you say that. It's not just once, because that's my initial thought is, I can do this. I can beat this.
Yeah.
We're in, and then I
Mhm.
can, like, tomorrow morning comes. Shit, I'm still in this thing. Now
Yeah.
what? I
Yeah.
mean, that's extremely scary. And obviously you're a mother of two boys, and I know hearing that, all these things that go through your head, what's going to happen with my boys, what's going to happen with financially, what, I mean, I can't imagine the stress that you went through, because as you mentioned, this is why I think your book is so brilliant, that it's not only the stress of cancer, it's that's stressful enough, obviously, I mean, life or death, but then you add on to the stress of that is, what's going to happen when I'm gone? I mean, what did my boys do without their mother? And that's why I think this book is so powerful. So tell a little bit about the book, Becoming Ovary Jones. How'd you come up with the name? And what is this book? Who's this book? Let me show the title, everybody. It's a beautiful, beautiful cover. I love it, Becoming Ovary Jones. But I got to ask you, it says How to Fight Cancer Without Losing Your Mind. It's on Amazon. Make sure you go out and buy it. And you know what? More importantly, well, buy it for yourself, but buy it for somebody that's struggling, because this book, I mean, I read probably 75 to 80% of the book, and I don't, knock on wood, I don't want cancer. I don't have cancer, but it's inspirational. It's motivational. It's good things that I can use in my life. But I know I'm long winded about this, but talk a little bit about why you came up with the name Ovary Jones.
So the first thing that I have to say, Jeremy, is I also have a daughter.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry.
Her name is Kenzie, and
Oh,
Kenzie
Kenzie.
she's 21. So I have twins. They're boy-girl
Oh,
twins.
okay. Okay.
And then I
Okay.
have an older boy, but
Kenzie, I'm so sorry.
Kenzie would have
You
been.
know what? Send me the email. I'm so sorry. I apologize. I forgot about you. Damn it. I thought I was on it too. Shit. Okay.
You were really close, but
Sorry,
yeah,
Kenzie.
she would be brokenhearted. Yeah, so Ovary Jones, uh, when I was going through my battle, I kept thinking about all of the amazing mavericks that came before us that got that diagnosis. And there is no better time than now to be diagnosed with cancer. Not that there's ever a good time, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but we have come a long way. And so I was just thinking about all the mavericks, all the, moxie people that just got that diagnosis, and they're like, you know what, I'm going to fight. I'm going to keep that positive mindset. So I really think of, uh, I titled it Ovary Jones because it's like a society of cancer fighters that came before us, that are come
Mhm.
after us, that are fighting right now. And we need to tap into that society to help each other out, because together we're tougher than cancer. And
Absolutely.
so I wanted like a badass title to, give people sort of that badge of honor, like, yeah, I'm in the Ovary Jones Society. What of it? I'm
Yeah.
gonna go and drag, if they're getting chemo or whatever. I'm gonna drag my pole over. I'm gonna let them pump me up with all kinds of poison. I know what it's gonna do to me in the next couple of days, but I'm gonna climb back out and I'm gonna say, hook me up again.
Yeah.
That's the kind of badass mindset that I wanted to tap into.
You've got chapters in here written, and just to go over some of these briefly. Welcome to the club, the pregame, good times on Unit 9, hope, hold on, pain ends, mirror, mirror on the wall, thinking of thinking, habitual yours, believe it or not, a scanxiety, and I love that. And again, just reading the title of that chapter puts me in that spot, in that place, which is amazing. What's weighting you down? And together we box it again. We're going to talk about that, but I want to get into the book real quick. you talk about on page 99, our environment is killing us. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about that, because I think again, there are so many things that can make us sick with, and you talk about that in here about, your genes being part of that. But talk a little bit about the environment killing us, because I think that's so important.
Well, one of the things that I want to say about that actually, Jeremy, is the number of cancer patients being diagnosed is on the rise. It's always, it's not getting better, right?
Yeah.
And I know personally, in the beginning, I went through a lot of, what did I do? This is all my fault. I did something. And I wanted to actually talk about all the toxins in our environment, because it's all around us. There's all kinds of stuff that's making us sick. And, there's formaldehydes and so many different things, products that we use every
Yeah.
day. And so I don't want people to um, waste brain cells like I did, beating myself up and wondering, what in the world did I do to deserve such a dreadful disease? That's really not helpful. And if I
Yeah.
could shortcut that a little bit for people and help them realize that, look, it's not your fault. There's a lot of people that are getting sick. But what we can do is we can help our doctors out a little bit and try to clean up our environment a little bit and figure out, are there any molds that we're being exposed to, or
Yes.
what are the toxins that we're being exposed to? What are we consuming? What are we putting on our skin? All of those things, because there's a lot of stuff out there that's
Yeah.
questionable at best.
It's so powerful that you put that in the book, because I think I don't underplay it. I think it's extremely important. I mean, I people think I'm kind of crazy and maybe OCD about it, but the mattress I have is a non-formaldehyde, no,
Mhm.
non-VOC mattress, because I'm sleeping on and breathing on this nonstop.
Mhm.
The food I try to eat as clean as possible.
Mhm.
Using Roundup in your yard, all these things, we're just adding to the opportunity for cancer to come into our lives, and we don't need it. We don't need any of
No,
these things, and
no.
but again, our ego gets in the way. We got to have, the best, most beautiful yard. We got to have we see the commercials of the toxic foods. We got to have those. There's so many toxic things out there, but we're brainwashed by society trying to keep up with the Joneses. And I really respect you for putting that in there, because it needs to be said. There was about 4 years ago, there was a huge lawsuit with Roundup and against
Mhm.
what's that, Monsanto, and some guy, he was dying because of spraying Roundup, and
Yeah.
I think he won like $100 million, $100 jillion lawsuit, and they proved that that it causes cancer.
Yeah.
You see stuff like that people just it's not going to be me, it's not going to be me, it's not
Yeah.
going to happen. But
Yeah.
yet it happens over and over and over and over again. We put our blinders on because it may not happen to us, but it may happen to the neighbor, or whatever the case is. But I just really, really appreciate you putting that in the book. The
Thank you.
second part I want to talk about, and this is totally, totally Melanie Holscher for sure, is on page 144. You talk about expecting a miracle, and
Mhm.
I think, you know obviously we talk about cancer, and when you go through the treatments, I mean, you want to expect a miracle, and I think this is the why that I read the book, and this is why I got so much out of it, because obviously I don't have cancer, but we can use that in so many other situations in our
Mhm.
life. I I want a miracle to happen to where, I mean, this is a bad example. I want $1 million. That ain't gonna happen. But I want to be happier. I want to be healthier. I want to be. There's so many things that I expect to happen to me, but you got to have that positive attitude. You got to have that mentality that you wish things are gonna come, and then a lot of times they do. And I know in fighting cancer, and you're a living proof of that, is that mindset does so many things to you when you think positive. Talk a little bit about that chapter, and talk a little bit about what you mean by expecting a miracle.
Well, it's kind of crazy because we get what we expect a lot of times, right? And I know initially when I was first diagnosed, I remember talking to one of my coaches, and I was like, I don't have time for cancer. I don't have
Yeah.
time. I'm busy. My career's great.
Yeah.
Everything's great. I don't have time. I don't want to be a cancer patient, right?
Yeah.
And cancer doesn't care. It doesn't care one little bit that I didn't have time, that everything was going great. And so I was just kind of like having a little hissy fit moment. And she's like, yeah, I didn't feel like having cancer either. And I was
Yeah.
like, wait, what? You had cancer? And so that was a big mindset shift for me, because she's like, yeah, I'm really thankful that I had cancer. I was like, how can you even say that?
Yeah.
And she went on to tell how she actually made some different decisions because of her diagnosis. And she ended up having a really successful career. And then she got into coaching, which is where I met her. And then I got to thinking about it. And I'm like, I'm glad she had cancer too, because I wouldn't have met her had she not, you know?
Well, yeah,
So,
isn't that crazy just saying that out loud? Yeah, I wish she had I'm glad she had cancer too. That's great.
yeah, I know. But I think the biggest thing was at the end of my chemo, the first go around, I ran into a doctor just randomly because you run into gynecological oncologists all the time, right? I was at a banquet with my son, and randomly seated at this table is an oncologist. And I said, what do you do for a living? And he told me, and I was like, "Hi." Yeah, like
Here we
I
go
can't
again.
get
Yeah.
away from you
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And so we got to talking, and he's commented on my attitude, and he said, mindset impacts outcomes. And it was those 3 words, because I never heard it that black and white, that life or death. And I was like, "You mean outcomes, like life, death?" He's like, "Mindset impacts outcomes." And so that's when I was like, "Wow, this is really, really important." And I
Yeah.
was just so blessed that I had, a team of people that were so supportive. But the miracle I think that you're talking about in that chapter was a very personal miracle. If I if you're talking about my Nicholas. Are you talking about my Nicholas?
Absolutely. Let's talk about Nicholas.
Let's talk about my Nicholas. Okay. So my firstborn, Nicholas, amazing, little happy, beautiful baby. And I had to go back to work, and he was in this amazing daycare, or at least I thought it was an amazing daycare. Well, at daycare, he ingested kerosene. It was a decorative uh, candle, and he thought it was a bottle. He ingested it. And I got the call from the hospital saying, "You need to get here right away."
Jesus.
And this was December 12th, and I dropped everything. I got there, and I ran into the triage, and there was all kinds of nurses running around, doctors. A doctor pulled me aside, and he starts drawing me a diagram and trying to show me what was happening in his lungs. And all I could say is he going to make it? And he said, "I don't know." And they had to life flight him down to Johns Hopkins. Well, that was about an hour and a half away from where I lived. And so we had to drive because they didn't allow parents on the helicopter. So we had to drive the whole way, not knowing whether he was going to still be alive when we got there. And um, he had made it through the flight, and then they put him on life support. And after several days, it was just oozing out of his pores, right? And
Yeah.
it was just the stench in the room was gagging me, because I knew that it was something that was harming my baby,
Yeah.
and I just wanted it out of his system. But they said, "We can't bring it back out of his system. He wouldn't survive that. We just have to let it seep out of his pores." And so there came a day when they had to turn the life support out off, and they said, it's time. And I said, "Well, is he going to breathe on his own?" And they said, "I don't know. I mean, there's no way to tell." And so they shut the machine off, and everything got so quiet in the room. You could hear a pin drop. And we were all just standing around this crib watching this 14-month-old baby. And then all of a sudden, his little chest expanded, and you could hear him take this breath. And it was a miracle, nothing shy of a miracle. And the doctor told me, when we were leaving, we were finally being discharged. He said, I went to thank him, with everything I had in me, like,
Yeah.
"Thank you for saving my baby." And he said, "Honey, it wasn't me. There's no medical reason why that child should be alive. That was all God." And so we came home that day, and it was Christmas time, just like it is now, and all the beautiful Christmas lights and all the different subdevelopments as we drove home, and we pulled down into our street. And I didn't even really notice. I was just so happy to finally be home because I'd been in the hospital for a long time.
Yeah.
And I got out of the car and I noticed a neighbor at her door. And then she flipped on her Christmas lights. And then I noticed the next door, other side, flipped on their lights. And soon the whole street flipped on their Christmas lights.
Yeah.
And they said, we were waiting for little Saint Nicholas to come home.
Isn't that cool?
I
Well,
know. It breaks my heart to this day. And this is many,
yeah.
many moons ago. But you got to believe in miracles. You just, I have, you know, that was my first big miracle to make me understand, realize miracles happen today.
Yeah.
And, you know, beautiful miracle.
Why do you think you're put through these things? Like, what is your, because the stories that you tell, and you haven't even told all the stories, and we could do this podcast for 4 hours, but to talk about all the things that you've been through, do you ever think about why me? Like, why am I the one that has to go through these things? What does that make sense? Is that even a valid question? Because I'm sure that's had to cross your mind. Like, like, even the most recently, why did I get cancer after I've been through all these things? Why you?
I think that's tempting for, we could all ask that question. I mean, you've been through a lot too, Jeremy, I know.
Yeah, well,
And yeah, everybody I think goes through a lot. And I think we're given those mountains to show that they can be moved, right? We are here to show other people the mountains that we can move, and you know, you've moved mountains in your life and you've been able to be a great role model to other people. I think that we
appreciate
all
that.
have to do the very best that we can. It's our legacy. So I don't know why I was given this mountain, but I decided to, climb it, put a flag on it, and
Yeah.
write a book about it.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I think you're right. I think we're all given these hurdles in our life, and we don't know how great how much greatness is in us until we're challenged and put to the test. And maybe that's just it. You've been challenged multiple times to prove that we all have greatness within ourselves.
Yeah.
But like I said, Melanie, you inspire me every day. I love talking to you, and we don't talk nearly enough. We probably talk every 3-4 months, probably,
Yeah.
but we need to talk more often. But I want to talk to you about Together We Box as well, because again, this is just another layer of Melanie Holscher. If you got to check her out, you got to find Melanie. We're gonna talk about all the ways to connect with her after we get done with the show. But talk about Together We Box, because it's so important, and that is changing lives. Talk about that.
So the interesting thing is, actually, Together We Box came before the book. Uh, so my daughter, Kenzie, she was like,
I love
you know
Kenzie.
what? You've got to share this whole mindset thing with other people. And in the beginning of a cancer battle, when people first learn that somebody has cancer, everybody wants to help. And obviously, we all want to help people. But the problem with the cancer battle is it's really long. It's a marathon, and it goes on and on and on. And people have to get back to work. They have lives, and we understand that. Speaking of, I can't really speak for all cancer patients, but
Yeah,
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure we understand that. And like I said, there's only one person. I'm alone in my thoughts 24/7. There's no way that somebody could be there all the time. So we've got to fight this fight largely on our own. And it starts in our mind, right? And so Kenzie's like, we've got to send some inspiration and mindset things that people can actually do, activities. We have to send them every month through this battle so that people can help, not just in the beginning, but throughout the whole journey. And so the boxes actually came first. And then we started putting this together, and I'm like, wait a second. I need to write something to help people understand why this crazy lady is doing this. And so that set me into a year-long adventure writing Becoming Ovary Jones. But anyway, they're all tied into sending out those monthly mindset boxes and really changing the way the cancer battle is fought by strengthening the mental game month after month through online resources, through gifts and encouragement and activities. We call them actionable hope, things that people can do to develop that Moxie mindset.
Melanie, you're off the hook. You know what? You are just unbelievable. I mean, the layers to Melanie Holscher are just every time we talk, you blow me away. Um, I mean, it's so cool. I mean, you almost leave me speechless then, which is hard to do, but the lives that you're changing. And as you're talking about these things, this mindset stuff, I go back to what I just mentioned about 5, 10 minutes ago about not only are you fighting cancer, but you have, if you're a mother, you have kids to take care of.
Mm,
That job doesn't stop. If you're a
no.
father, you have kids to take care of. If you're a kid, I mean, my gosh, there's so many people that are fighting cancer, and
Mm.
what you're doing is changing lives. And I mean, I can't thank you enough, but I can only appreciate it to a surface level because I know the impact that you make with other people that are actually going through these things. So you're amazing. Mel,
One thing I've been blown away by, I didn't
yeah,
expect this at all, but a lot of the feedback and a lot of the reviews and stuff on Amazon, what people are saying was the book is actually helping people, even if they don't have cancer, even if they just have whatever challenge, adversity that they're facing. And that I didn't expect at all.
yeah.
That was just a complete surprise. Um, so I'm blessed. I'm just so grateful that I could be a part of people's journey and help in any way I can.
Well,
Um,
yeah. I mean,
we'll
that's what I
move
got out of the
mountains
book.
together.
Yeah, that's what I got out of the book. I mean, again, I haven't had cancer, but I've had one of my best friends pass away of cancer.
Mm,
So I get it, but it's easy for me to say I get it without going through it. It's one
yeah.
thing, but there's so much in the book, and I run over to Amazon. Everybody that's listening, and look for Becoming Ovary Jones: How to Fight Cancer Without Losing Your Mind by Melanie Holscher. Melanie, I'm sure you've listened to the podcast before. We like always for all my guests, I'll go through the 7 questions from John Maxwell's book, Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. And you get the 7 questions. Are you ready to rock?
Let's rock.
Question number 1 is, what is the greatest lesson you've ever learned?
I think the biggest lesson I've ever learned was mindset impacts outcomes. It affects everything.
Well, you wrote that in the book too, which I love that too, because mindset impacts outcomes until there's a cure. Melanie Holscher.
Yeah.
I freaking love this book. It's so good.
Thank you.
I've got someone in mind that I'm gonna actually I'm gonna go out and buy another book. I'm gonna keep this one because I mean you autographed it. I gotta keep it. It's worth millions of dollars to me. But I'm gonna go out and buy another one. I got a special friend that I'm gonna give it to. That is she's actually battling cancer. She's battled multiple times, and I think this book would
Mm,
absolutely change her life.
mm.
Question number 2 for Melanie Holscher is, what are you learning now?
So right now I'm learning a whole lot about social media and uh, you know, getting the word out about Together We Box. I've, believe it or not, always been a pretty private person, a little
Not
bit
anymore.
on the shy side, I know. So not anymore. So I've been learning to come out of my shell a whole lot, and you just can't help people whenever you're um, not not out there,
Yeah,
in social media, and it's a little bit out of my comfort zone. Um, Not a big oversharer type person, but um, it's hard to be nervous when your heart's on service. That's something that we say at Southwestern.
absolutely.
And my goal is to help as many cancer patients as I possibly can. So I got to come out more.
100% you do. And the world needs to hear your message. You need to start a YouTube channel as well. I think that'd be awesome. The other thing too is whenever you get these posts, whenever you have ideas, you're more than welcome to send them to me, and I'll share them on my site. We've got close to 12,000 people on that one, so I'd be more than happy. I'd actually love if you sent me stuff that I can share, and maybe your quotes, and you can
Mm,
reference the book, and we'll put those on the page as well. So do that for me.
absolutely.
I think that would be awesome, and I think you should start a YouTube channel because I think um, if you're listening, subscribe to my YouTube channel. But you should
Please.
have one. Yeah, you should have one because I think when you're sitting in a hospital when no one else is around and you're
Yeah.
looking for motivation, what better place to go find Melanie on YouTube and actually
Mm,
and watch a motivational 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Hey, this is what I went through this. I know where you're at. You're going to
mm,
get through this. Like little videos like that, I think would make a gigantic impact. And then tying them with your book and then tying them with some social media, I think that would be huge. So
yeah.
I'd encourage you to do that. Question number 3 is, how has failure shaped your life?
How's what? Sorry.
How has failure shaped your life?
Oh, failure. Yes. So I've had a relationship with failure quite a bit, yeah. um, but obviously, we all know that we don't really fail unless we quit, right? And so I'm really thankful for the failures that I've faced in my life, because that always got me um, up and trying to dust myself off and figure out the next way, or the next direction that I need to take. So if I hadn't failed early on in some of my endeavors, I probably wouldn't be here. So I'm glad. It's just like with the cancer, you can be thankful. I don't know that I'm ready to say I'm thankful for cancer, but I am thankful. I can say that I am thankful for a lot of the failures that I've had in my earlier years, and I will continue to fail, but that's okay. As long as we keep failing forward, we'll keep on moving forward. So I'm okay with failure.
Well, I think it's important to understand with cancer too is that obviously a lot of people have died from cancer and they
Hmm.
never gave up. That's not
Hmm.
what you're
Right.
talking about, But I
Yeah.
think what you're talking about too, and I think this is important to talk about, is having that the mindset of not failing is never giving up throughout the entire treatment. Because if you
Right.
quit, like you said, you may not be here right now.
Right.
It all goes
Right.
back to that mindset, and it's so important. So
Yeah.
I'm
And I'm
glad.
actually glad that you actually said that, because, um, you know, the book is not a cure for cancer. The boxes aren't a cure for cancer.
Yeah,
But the mindset is, I'm a survivor today. And today I'm going to find joy. I'm going to find peace. I'm going to, find what I need to keep me moving forward. And, tomorrow's not promised for anybody, right?
yeah.
So we got to live every day. And I had a doctor one time ask me, with all sincerity, he's like, "What's it like?" And I didn't understand what he meant initially. You're faster than I was, I was like,
Yeah,
"What's what like?" He's like, "What's it like?" I said, "Oh, what's it like to know that your time is limited, maybe,
yeah.
or that the end might be," and he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well, you appreciate every time you open your eyes in the morning." And I still feel that way. Like every time I'm blessed with the gift of another day, I want to find some joy in
Oh, I
it, and
bet.
I want to find purpose in it, and I want to do my best to help other people as well. So I'm a survivor today.
I bet that opening your eyes every morning is different.
It
Yeah,
is.
I mean, it's got to be different. Not taking the day. Oh, I got to go to work today. I mean, it's easy to get caught up in that trap with the
Hmm.
same old. But boy, when you go through something like that, every day is truly a blessing. And
Yeah.
and unfortunately, what we do as a society in general is that we take that for granted until something happens like that. And what better lesson is to take every day as a gift and take advantage of it and be the best version of yourself, because you never know when you're going to go into the hospital and they're going to check you in and say, hey, you're not going home, you're staying
Hmm.
here. You never know
Yeah.
when that's going to happen. So
Yeah.
what a great lesson that is too.
Hmm.
Question number 4 is who do you know that I should know?
Well, I know uh, I already introduced you to one of my dear friends, Amy.
Yes, you did, from
Um,
Indianapolis, right?
yes,
What's up, Amy?
absolutely, Amy. Yep. Um, so I have to think about who else do I know. Actually, Susan Miller is a friend of mine here, and I think Susan, you need to know Susan. Yeah, she is a entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur.
Okay.
Amazing. But I think you'd really enjoy knowing her. So I'll hook you.
Well, yeah, let's connect through social media for sure.
Yeah.
I know you're
Mhm.
huge on social media now, so
Mhm.
let's go ahead and connect that up. That'll be great. Susan, much love to you. I can't wait to talk to you. Question number 5 is what have you read that I should read?
Hmm. Well, I know what I haven't read yet because it
Wow.
hasn't come yet.
She shot fire across the or shot across the bow. I can take it. I can take it.
Uh,
That's great.
uh, One of my favorite books recently is Chop Wood, Carry Water. Have you read that yet?
I have not. I love the title.
I like that book. Yeah, you'll enjoy that. Chop Wood, Carry Water.
Chop wood, care. What's that about?
It's stoicism, basically, packaged in a really nice, easy to read story. But
Okay.
it basically, like, one of my favorite sayings, it sounds very provocative, but I love it, is your life is your fault, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love that, because once we all realize that our lives are all our fault, then we can take back the power, and we can, grab the crayons and color it however we want to color it. And so Chop Wood, Carry Water is um, an empowering book that helps you realize that we've got to do the little things right, and the little things will lead to the bigger things down the road. So it's a great book. I think you'll like it.
It sounds like a great book, and I love that because I use that a lot of time in my own life. I actually have one of my affirmations on. Well, no, it's not even an affirmation. It's just a quote that I put on my mirror that says something along the lines that, and I'm going to butcher it. I got two of them. I don't want to combine them both. You got yourself in this mess. How are you going to get yourself out? And that's big for me because every decision that I've made my entire life has brought me to this exact point, and it's my fault, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Right.
think that's so important to accept that truth because when you don't, you start blaming. You play the blame game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's his fault. It's her fault. I got screwed. My high school coach. It's all these bullcrap stories that you tell yourself for your entire life that why you got robbed. Yet you're haven't accomplished any of your goals, your dreams that you want to accomplish. So they're at the end of the day, they're all your fault, no one else's fault. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you mentioned. I'll check that book out. It sounds good.
Yeah, you'll like it. Mm-hmm.
It sounds like I will. Question number 6 is what have you done that I should do?
Well, I can think of a lot of things that I've done that you shouldn't do.
I'm not gonna do it. If you're gonna tell me
Yeah.
to get cancer, I'm not gonna do it.
Don't go through chemo. Don't. Yeah. No. Hmm. What have I done that you should do? Um, have you gone skydiving yet?
No, I have not. And every time I hear skydiving, I think to myself, there's no chance in hell I'm jumping out of a perfectly good plane to jump to my death. So
I'll tell you what, it's the most peaceful thing. Like, it is so quiet, and it's amazing after the chute. After the chute opens, it's amazing. Before the chute opens, because they say, you should count the cells. And so, like, you look up and you count each cell to make sure each cell inflated in your chute. And I remember looking up and I was like, 1, 2, 3. I can't remember what comes after 3. I can't
oh
look.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would be scared to death.
Yeah, it was a little scary.
I am like deathly scared of heights. When I climb a ladder, I'm scared to death. I'm gonna fall. My life is gonna come to an end. So, um, I don't want to say never. Never is a strong word, but it would be hard as hell to get me in a plane and jump out of it. That'd be
Yeah.
difficult, but that'd be something that I should do that you've done. That is for sure. Question number 7, last question, Melanie. We're gonna get you out of here. The hostage situation is over.
Yeah.
It's how can I add value to you?
Well, you already have added so much value to my life. It's been an honor to be your friend, quite honestly. I know. I know. It's Christmas time. I've
Is
just
that what it is? It's my early Christmas gift.
No, seriously, you have been such a positive
Well,
influence
thank you.
in my life, and you already gave me an amazing suggestion, something that I have kicked around a little bit. I probably should do more on YouTube. So I'll have to pick your brain. Maybe you can add value by
I
allowing
would
me to
love
pick your
that.
brain.
I would love that. And if you ask me the same question, how can you add value to me? It's very very simple. Just tell your story more. Um,
Mm.
your story needs to be heard by everyone in the world, not just me and then my listeners, and not just people that are really struggling with cancer. There's so much to take out of this book. It's so beautifully written. It's inspirational. It's motivational. I love the book. I'm going to give it out to other people that I know and love. And this will be a book that I give away for a long time. Anybody that is in any kind of a tough spot, I think this is an
Mm.
opportunity to read the book and give the book because you are so right when you talk about mindset. Mindset is literally, for me, it's everything. It gets me to wake up in the morning, gets me through the tough times, it gets me when I'm struggling. It's so important. And then when you add on top struggling with cancer, I can't imagine it. I can't imagine how difficult that is. Yet you are a beacon of light for so many people, and you are going to save lives. And I think that's the powerful thing about this book is that we talk about the mindset and overcoming cancer, but you literally are going to save lives with this book. that is a powerful impact. I mean, not a lot of people can say that about their book, about anything, but you, my friend, are going to save countless lives, thousands of lives, because it all starts upstairs. And then not only that, the people that end up, knocking wood, and I don't want anybody to pass away, but the impact you're going to make for their families, and the leadership that whoever reads the book going through this stuff is going to set that example. I can't overstate it enough, Melanie. I'm so proud of you. I love you to death.
Thank
You're
you so much.
inspirational. Tell everybody where they can find you.
So I can be found at togetherwebox.com, or you can always email me at Melanie, Melanie, at ovaryjones.com. So Melanie at ovaryjones.com. And of course, I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, just about
YouTube.
everywhere. YouTube. Soon. Yeah.
Melanie, thank you so much for joining the show. And for everybody listening, like I said, run to Amazon, snag that book. It's like I said, it's brilliant. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Get that book. So, and then, like Mel and I were talking about before the show, when you buy the book, snap a picture of it. You can send it to me. You can send it to Melanie. Just show, just the more you get this message out, the more people are going to be impacted by it. So do your part. If you buy the book and enjoy it, which I know you will, leave a review on Amazon. That is gigantic as well. So if you read the book, make sure you take that extra 30 seconds, leave that review, allows other people to find the book. And hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, please take this, share it, share the message, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have been very, very fortunate, very, very blessed to know a lot of people like Melanie that are inspirational and motivational, and they're all going to be all over the YouTube channel as well as the Facebook page. Got any questions, Jeremy at jeremytodd.com. Shoot those over to me. But like I always say at every show, you've got greatness within. Like always, this is the positive side.